right? I'm closing. When teacher Michael is here, then I'll close the breakout room, all right? Just try to get into to see if you're able to join the breakout room. Because some of you don't know how to join the breakout room and how to move between the room. Right. Just try to get into to see if you're able to join. Teacher Michael, are you here yet? Oh, you here? Yeah. All right. All right. Then I close on the breakout room. Yeah.
Teacher.
Hello, everybody. How are we today?
Teacher.
Hi, Mr. Michael.
Hello.
Teacher.
Okay.
Teacher,
Let me get my screen
Hello,
shared
Teacher
up.
Michael.
Hello, Mr. Michael. I forgot.
Hello, teacher.
Hello, everybody.
Michael.
Hello, teacher Michael.
Hello.
Hello, Miss.
Hello,
teacher Michael. Hello, Mr. Michael.
Hello, teacher
Hello.
Michael.
Okay, so let me get the slideshow up and happening here. So welcome to session 2 of the NCSN Debating Championship Tournament workshops. Today's topic is going to be the structure of a debate. So let's begin by exploring the essential components that make up the structure of a debate. So a debate consists of several key elements or key parts, and those are the introduction, the substantive speeches, rebuttals, reply speeches, and adjudication and feedback. So we are going to explore each of these parts in detail and just have a bit of a discussion about them so that everybody knows how a debate will work. So the key parts of a debate. So as well as explaining what they are, we're also going to talk about their purpose and the amount of time that we allocate to each part of a debate. And it's important to know this stuff because if we understand how a debate works, we're able to participate more effectively and we're able to do better. It makes trying our hardest and doing our best easier if we know how it works. So the first part that we want to talk about is the introduction. And the introduction is a speech given by the moderator. And the purpose of it is to set the stage for the debate. It's going to provide all of the important information and give context to the debate. And the different things that the moderator will talk about in the introduction are things like, things like the topic of the debate, the teams and the members of those teams will be introduced. The adjudicator will explain the motion of the debate. They'll introduce the judges and explain their responsibilities. And they'll also talk about what the moderator does as well. They'll introduce themselves and explain to everybody what they will be doing. Now we're going to be talking about the judges and the moderator a little bit later on in the lesson today as well. So we'll introduce to you the part that they play in the debate. Now, the purpose of the introduction speech, like we said just before, it's going to set the tone and it's going to define the scope of the debate. So it's basically going to, like we said, it'll introduce the topic and the motion, and it will also let you know which team will be arguing for, for which side of the debate. Because as we know, any good debate topic needs to be able to be argued. So if it's something like, I don't know, water is wet, you can't really have a debate about that because there's no other way you can put it. Water is wet. But a good debate topic would be something like, is it better to be is it better to be an only child or to have brothers and sisters? Because you can make an argument for both sides of that argument, and that's what a good debate needs to be. The introduction speech will also explain the rules of procedure for the audience's sake. So normally in a debate, the debaters will have the rules explained to them before the debate begins, so that they know again how best to operate and how best to conduct themselves during the debate. But during the introduction, we'll also do a brief overview of the rules, just so the audience all know what's going on too. We want to capture the audience's attention and build anticipation. So this, the moderator will generally say a few inspiring sentences to get the audience excited to listen to the debate. And so it's not just kind of like, oh yeah, cool, we're going to debate now. They try and get the audience hyped up for it. And the introduction speech generally wants to go on for about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. But it's very important because, like we said before, it frames the debate. It lets everybody know what to expect during the debate. Actually, before we move on to the substantive speeches, do we have any questions about the introduction speech?
No, I'm clearly.
Beautiful. Hello again, Star.
Yes, I have.
Ruby, what question do you have?
Oh no, I forgot about it.
That's all right. If you remember, you can ask me later.
I'm
Okay, so
sorry.
the next, no apology necessary. So the next part of a debate are the substantive speeches. And the substantive speeches, they're really the heart and soul of a debate, or they're the core of the debate. They're the speeches where teams present their cases by offering arguments to support their stance on the motion. They'll offer reasons why they're offering these arguments, and they'll offer evidence to support their claims. And they'll also explain the impact or the importance that their arguments can have on various stakeholders. So people who might stand to gain or lose something depending on the outcome of the debate and the results thereof. So like we just discussed, the substantive speeches are the foundation of each team's case. In these speeches, they want to present arguments, evidence, and reasoning. And depending on which team they're on, remembering our terminology from last week, they will either support the motion if they're on the proposition team, or they will be aiming to disprove the motion, excuse me, if they're on the opposition team. Now, these speeches, they generally, each speaker in the NCSN tournament will get 4 minutes per speaker to make their substantive speeches. And that goes for all three, the first, second, and third speaker of each team. Do we have any questions before we move on to rebuttals?
What rebuttal?
Good.
What are rebuttal?
Okay, here we go, rebuttals. So rebuttals play a very pivotal role in any debate because this is the part of the debate where teams get to challenge the arguments of their opponents. They get to put those arguments under scrutiny and they get to challenge them. During this phase, debaters must skillfully counter and critique their opponent's points, dissecting the core of their arguments to demonstrate their flaws and inadequacies. So simply put, a rebuttal is when the next speaker in line from the opposing team, they get to make points that try to discredit what the previous speaker has just said. So this is important because any argument you produce, you need to be able to defend it. So if someone offers you a rebuttal to something you've said, then you need to be able to come back with a point or a piece of evidence or an explanation and say, no, this is why my argument is so good, because even though my opponent has just made this point about what I've said, here's my evidence to prove that I'm right. So yes, any good argument you make, and that's the same whether it's in a debate or you're just having a conversation with a family member or a friend. If you believe something or feel a certain way about something, you need to be able to justify that. Just saying, oh, well, because I think so, it's not good enough. You need to have good reasons to support what you're saying. Now, the points of a rebuttal, we see down the bottom there, we've got self-allocated time. So rebuttals tend to be, rebuttals take place during the substantive speeches. So like we said, each speaker in the debate gets 4 minutes, and it's up to each speaker to choose how much of that 4 minutes they wish to give to offering rebuttals. Now, the further on the further on a debate goes, the more time out of that 4 minutes you may wish to give to your rebuttals. So the first proposition speaker doesn't need to worry about it because they're the first person to speak, so they don't have anybody to rebut against. The first opposition speaker may wish to give, just giving rough figures here, maybe 1 minute to 1 minute and 30 seconds of their speech time to rebuttals before they move on to offering their own arguments and improving their team's case. Later on in the debate, like the second speakers and the third speakers, they may wish to give a little bit more, maybe 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 30 seconds worth of rebuttals, because they have more arguments from previous speakers to be able to rebut against. And we want to make sure that we address as many points that are brought up in the debate as possible. We also see that there's, like I said, the first proposition speaker doesn't have any rebuttals to make. And there are also no rebuttals offered in the reply speeches, which happen at the end of the debate. And the final point is that rebuttals, they're more, it is an important part of the debate for both teams, but the opposition team has more at stake with their rebuttals. Because remembering that while the proposition team wants to prove the motion is correct, the opposition team wants to prove that the proposition team are incorrect. So it's not quite the same. So there's more, the rebuttals have more importance for the opposition team. So we move on now to the purpose of the rebuttals. And as we see, it's an opportunity to challenge your opponent's arguments. It's a chance to identify flaws and inconsistencies in their arguments. And the point of that is to bring it to the judge's attention. So whenever you offer rebuttals, regardless of which team you're on, the people you're trying to make these flaws apparent to are the judges, because the judges are the ones that obviously score the debaters. Again, we'll talk about that later. In a rebuttal, it's your opportunity to present counter evidence or counter arguments to disprove your opponent's case. So again, the proposition team are arguing to prove the motion correct, but the opposition team are arguing to prove the proposition team wrong. Ooh, excuse me.
I have something to
Um,
say.
Yes, Ruby.
I have a stomach ache. Can I go to the toilet?
Yes, you may. If you're not feeling well, you can.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we also want to defend against other arguments.
You're
a bit loud, teacher. A question or something you'd like to. I was saying it shows the adjudicator your ability to defend against opposing arguments. Like we were talking about before, it's not good enough to just say, well, this is my
Teacher.
argument and I believe it because this is what I think.
Teacher,
You
I
need
have
to
a
be
question.
able to, hang on a second, let me finish this. So yeah, you need to be able to show your ability to defend your arguments. And as well, because you don't know the points that the other team is making going into the debate, you have to think of your rebuttals on the spot. So it's a very good way to demonstrate your ability to think quickly, to adapt to new information, and yeah, just generally show that you've thought about your team's stance on the issue in detail. Yes, Alice, do you have a question?
I hear you so slow and your background is blurred.
My
Like,
background is
Your
blurred.
background is slow too.
Excuse me,
Mr. Archer.
You're just
Teacher, I have a question.
in front of a pair of
I have a real
curtains.
question.
Hang on a second.
Now here we go again.
I have a question. Please.
Teacher, I have a question.
He had no excuse.
Why is Archer lagging? Why is Mr. Archer lagging?
Wait until you ask the question later.
I don't know. I cannot hear you. Use like
Is it,
it is like that. I cannot hear you clearly.
He's just lagging.
Because my position in the house
Whoa,
is
calm down.
far away from the Wi-Fi mode.
I feel like Mr. Archer has Wi-Fi.
He didn't have Wi-Fi. Yes,
Oh,
but look
okay.
at his screen. He is having
Yeah,
low
we're having some Wi-Fi
low
issues.
Wi-Fi.
Excuse-
Yeah. low
Mr. Archer?
He has
He's
low
on again.
Wi-Fi.
Guys,
Clearly.
quiet. Please.
He's on again.
Ken, what was your
He
question?
might pause for a bit.
Okay, so my question is, what if we can challenge the other team opinion?
What if you can't?
A rebuttal? During a
Then-
rebuttal?
Then you lose. That's the answer. You lose.
So,
Nah. Lag again.
ideally, you would want to put yourself in the position to be able to do arguments. And so with that time, you want to try and let debate as possible so that any point that's brought up by the opposing team, you can hopefully have some information that you can use to challenge what they're saying. However,
Archer.
if you're not in the position to be able to, guys, quiet,
Why
please.
is he lagging so much?
He's using McDonald's Wi-Fi. He's using McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Hang on, let me try. Hopefully that made it better.
Yeah, it did.
I just swapped the Wi-Fi network that I was on to my mobile. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, so yeah, to answer your question, you'll have 1 week to prepare for each debate that you're in. So in that time, you do want to try to learn as much about your side of the argument as possible. That way, no matter which arguments are brought up, you will hopefully have a point that can challenge what your opponents are saying. But if you don't have to. You won't lose points for not doing something or for not doing something well. You can only gain points for doing things well. So it won't negatively impact your score if you don't try and challenge and rebut, but your score will be a lot better if you do attempt to, and you have material that can challenge them. Okay, Tom, Mr. McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Okay, I have a question. Who is usually the person who uses rebuttals, like asking questions and like proving their points? Who is the person behind rebuttals?
So every speaker in the debate, except for the first proposition speaker, will have a chance to make rebuttals. So the first opposition, the second proposition, second opposition, third proposition, and third opposition will all have a chance to offer rebuttals. And we actually have a workshop on how to do it well coming up in a few weeks' time. But basically, the simple version of it is, as your opponents are making their arguments and talking, you want to be making notes down about what they're saying so that you can formulate your rebuttals before you begin your speech. But yeah, the answer is everybody except the first proposition speaker have a chance to offer rebuttals. Do we have any more questions? I think I saw the other Tom and somebody else had their hand up before. Simon, did you have a question you wanted to ask? Okay, let's move on then. So after the substantive speeches have occurred, the final speeches that will be offered by the debaters are called reply speeches. And these reply speeches give each team one final chance to summarize the debate from their perspective. Excuse me. Want to add the key points of their case. And if you have a look at the last point on the page, it says opposition first, then proposition. Now, this is quite strange by our debating standards, because up to this point, it's always the proposition that's gone first, then the opposition team has gone second. But for reply speeches, we flip that order around and the opposition team goes first, and then the proposition team goes last. And the reason that that's such an important point is because one of the rules of the debates is that no speaker is allowed to speak 2 times in a row, one straight after the other. So because the opposition team speaks twice in a row, they have the last substantive speech and then the first reply speech. To enforce that rule, this means that only the first or the second speaker from each team is eligible to give the reply speech. And the reply speeches are half the time limit of the substantives, which is 2 minutes. Yes, Minuet, how can I help? You're still muted. Your mouth is moving, but you're not making any noise. You can be
There we go.
there. I was
Because I
gonna
was
say you can be as
I was
gesture as you
muted.
want. We still couldn't hear.
I was muted. So like for the reply speech, so you basically summarize everything, right, sir? You basically like summarize everything, right?
Correct, yes. So you want to, we'll go into it a little bit more in the next slide, but the basis of it is that, yes, you want to summarize all of your team's strongest arguments, all of your best rebuttals, and any good clashes that you have during the debate. So yeah, really, it's your chance to just put all of your strongest points forward for the judges. So the purpose of the reply speeches, so again, speeches, so any points of information, and this can be a very good strategic way to educate. And pages are actually often collected in a debate, which is quite sad because some debaters don't really understand the power. As they say in Russian, I billion means pancakes. So I'm sorry about that one, guys. I don't know why I got booted out of the call just then, but hopefully I'm back and I'll get my screen share up and running again. Ken, yes.
Teacher, I didn't hear you, sorry, but why does the opposition get to go first?
So I didn't actually explain that, but it's a good question. So the reason that the opposition gets to go as well, it's not so much that sorry, I'll rephrase that. The important part about reply speeches is not that the opposition gets to go first, it's that the proposition gets to go last. And the reason for that is because the proposition have the very big job of proving the motion to be correct or to be true. And so because they have this important job, there's one view that they have to prove correct, where the opposition can take any number of different viewpoints to try and prove that one point wrong. So they get to speak last because they have the harder job. And so they get the chance to leave that one last impression on the judges after everything else. So that's the reason why, because the proposition, they need that chance to speak last to make that lasting impression on the judges. Sherry, yes.
So like, is there any can we like rebut our team that reply speeches?
Pardon?
Can we like rebut rebut the other side in reply speeches? I mean, do it.
No, so there's no rebuttal. So you can mention any good rebuttals that you made during the debate, but you can't introduce any new rebuttals into the reply speeches. You can only talk about and mention anything that happened during the substantive debate, during the substantive arguments and the rebuttals and the clashes and points of information and things like that, but no new rebuttals during reply speeches. So before I got booted out of the call for some reason, I was talking about that reply speeches are a strategic way to sway the adjudicator. So often a lot of debaters will neglect their reply speeches because I don't think they understand the importance and how much power those reply speeches can have. So as I was saying before, not often, but sometimes a good reply speech can actually change the result of a debate. So just a hypothetical situation, maybe the opposition team are doing a better job of making their arguments, and based on the substantives, it looks like the opposition team's going to win. But right at the end, if the opposition team maybe don't put as much effort into their reply speech, but the proposition team do an absolutely incredible reply speech, that can, in the judge's opinion, sometimes sway the results of the debate. So yeah, don't ever underestimate the importance of these reply speeches. They can sometimes decide the results. It also gives our teams a chance to weigh their arguments. So during the preparation time, they can look at all of the arguments they've presented and they can kind of weigh them and see which ones they think had the most impact on proving their case fact and which arguments maybe weren't as strong as they could have been. And then that gives you the opportunity to talk about the arguments you think reflect your team's case the best and talk about those ones in your reply speech. And of course, it also gives us the chance to emphasize the team's position. So it gives the teams one final chance to go, we've been the proposition team and our stance on the motion has been this. And yeah, it just gives you one final chance to make your case. Do we have any more questions about reply speeches before we move on to the judges' deliberation section? Fantastic. Let's move on. We'll talk about the judges' deliberation in a little bit, sorry. So the thing we're going to cover is the structure of a debate from start to finish, so you'll know what to expect. Now, as we talked about last week, our NCSN tournament is going to be using a modified version of the World Schools debating format. So slightly shorter speaking times. So I've got it written up there at the top. So we use a modified World Schools debate format that runs as follows. So we'll begin with the moderator's introduction speech. That'll last around 5 minutes. And the last thing that the moderator will say is, let the debate commence. I'd now like to invite the first speaker of the proposition to make their opening arguments. And then immediately following the introduction speech, we've got the first proposition speaker's speech, which lasts 4 minutes. Now, in between each substantive speech, we have given a 1-minute preparation period for the next speaker, just to give them a chance to finalize any rebuttals they wish to write, make sure all the arguments are fully prepared, and just to get ready to speak. So then, of course, we have the first opposition speaker. Again, preparation period. A second proposition speaker, preparation period. Second opposition speaker, preparation period. Third proposition speaker. So you see, of course, each break is 1 minute. Each speech is 4 minutes in length. Final preparation period. And then we have the third opposition speaker's speech, 4 minutes. Now, once the substantive speeches have been completed, we offer a 2-minute reply speech preparation time. So because this speech is so important, there are a few extra rules that we have in regards to it. So things like, you might have seen that we're offering for teams of up to 5 people to join the tournament. So during the actual debate, during the substantive speech part of the debate, it's only 3 players or 3 debaters versus 3 debaters. So if you've got a team of 5, that means that 2 debaters are what we call reserves. So they're not allowed to speak during this debate, but if their team makes it through to the next round, those 2 reserve players can come onto the team, and 2 of the current debaters just come off, and then now they're the reserves. But during the reply speech preparation period, the 2 reserve team members are allowed to communicate with the 3 active debaters, so they can give them any information they may need to make their reply speech as good as possible. Yeah, so the reserves are allowed to interact during this preparation period, but during the substantives, they're not allowed to say a word. So after the reply speech preparation time, we then have the opposition team's reply speech, remembering they go first. And then we have the proposition team's reply speech. Now, just to let you guys know, all of these preparation periods, we've marked down 1 minute, but we're going to be a little bit lenient with it because we understand that a lot of people entering this tournament are going to be inexperienced and new to debate. So, so we might go as much as like 1 minute 30 to 2 minutes for these preparation periods. But yeah, in a normal debating tournament, if you get these preparation periods, they're usually quite strict with their time limit enforcement. Ken, did you have a question?
No.
You've still got your hand up. That's why I asked. And Tom, do you have a question?
Can you explain the timeline of a debate again, please?
Yeah, sure thing. Let me just finish off. Actually, no, I'll go back to the beginning now of this. So, Mark, before I do that, do you have a question? Okay, so just to recap the structure of a debate. So this is the specific format that we'll be using in the NCSN tournament. Other tournaments might have a very similar structure, maybe with a few slight differences. So slightly longer speaking times. Maybe they won't have the preparation periods in between each speaker. The differences will be small, but they might be there. So that's just something to keep in mind, that this is specifically for our NC Centre. Okay, so first thing we'll get is the moderator's introduction speech. So that'll go for about 5 minutes, remembering all of the information that we talked about before. That's what the moderator will talk about here. I'll invite the first position speaker to make their opening statement, and then the first proposition speaker will have 4 minutes to set up their team's case. Deliver all their strongest arguments, let us know what the team line's going to be, all sorts of important information like that. Once the first proposition speaker has finished their arguments, we'll have roughly a 1 minute preparation period for the next speaker to finalize before we have the first opposition speaker make their team's case or make their team's opening statement. And again, that's 4 minutes. We'll have a 1 minute, again, roughly a 1 minute preparation period for the next speaker before the second proposition speaker will make their arguments. That'll go for 4 minutes. And then again, another 1 minute preparation period before the second opposition speaker makes their arguments, followed by another 1 minute preparation period. Next, we'll have the third speaker for the proposition team to make their closing arguments before again another 1 minute preparation period. And then the third opposition speaker, hello John, I see you waving. So yeah, then the third opposition speaker will make their closing remarks. And this time we will have a 2 minute period for the preparation of reply speeches. Now, remember a few differences here is that one is the preparation for the reply speeches is 2 minutes. And in the reply speech preparation time, any team reserves are allowed to communicate with the active, debaters to help them make their final preparations for the reply speech. But during the substantive portion of the debate, any reserves for the team are not allowed to communicate with their teammates, not allowed to help them out in any way other than for the reply speech preparation. Then we have the 2 minute reply speech for the opposition team and the 2 minute reply speech for the proposition team. Guys, I'll be back in just 2 moments. I need to go grab my phone charger because my Wi-Fi hotspot's about to die. Perfect timing, saved it on 3. So finally, for the judges. Down the steps like no, they do this out. Okay, so this period to deliberate for the judges, we've marked down 15 minutes. That's good average, but it can take sometimes a shorter. sometimes it can go even for as long as about 5 minutes. It depends on how quickly the judge can reach a decision. Oh goodness. So after that, the judges will come back to the debaters and they'll offer their verdict. So they'll let everybody know who won and who is the best speaker overall during the debate. And that'll usually go on for about 20 minutes we've allocated. And then after the debate, during the debate, the judges will be Oof. I think that's because my phone's on such low battery, guys. Sorry about the lag. No, that. About the lag, guys. I guess I kind of got the short end of the stick with Wi-Fi quality in this position in the hand. But yeah, I'll start this portion again just for anybody caught too much lag. So once the features have been complete, the judges will go and deliberate. That means they're going to work out how they think the winners of the debate are. We've marked down here 15 minutes. However, some of the judges can take short as about 5 minutes to decide the winners. Sometimes it can take them as long as about 25 minutes. So 10 minutes is just next, the judges to the main room. They will announce their verdict, they'll announce who won, and they'll announce who they decide is the best speaker overall. And they'll also offer some, so during the debate, offer some generalized feedback. So opposition, so for example, proposition team did very well with their substantives. However, they may pay more attention to the opposition team while forming their rebuttals, things like that. But after the debate, the judges will actually write out some more personalized feedback for each speaker. And we're working on a system to send that information to debaters. So you'll get it. So not only will you know how you did in terms of the result, but you know whereabouts in your debate game you're doing very well and whereabouts you need to work on improving your skills. So that's going to be a very valuable tool. So you're not just finding out if you won or if you lost, you're also finding out, okay, so I need to work on maybe my posture, I need to work on eye contact, or maybe I need to put a bit more effort into my rebuttals, things like that. So you get some good feedback to know how to improve as a debater. So overall, we've got an expected runtime of about 1 hour and 15 minutes. But again, keep in mind that if it's needed, we're willing to offer a little bit more time during the preparation. And judges may take a little bit longer or a little bit shorter to decide the winner. So there's a few factors there that could make it a bit longer, a bit shorter of a debate. Okay, so I'm going to get to bed earlier. So next week, we're going to be focusing on the different roles of the speakers during the debate. So each member of both teams should be aiming to contribute to their team's case in a debate. So for today, excuse me, we're going to be focusing on the role of the moderator and the role of the judges. So we talked about it in we've talked about it briefly a bit earlier on in today's class, but we just want to go into a bit more detail. If having computer Sorry, I'm just putting a message in the chat box. Tom, what's your question? I'm
I
trying,
have a question.
trying to get this
What
back
time
on
does a
track.
rebuttal occur in a debate? Like after the third speaker, like is there a rebuttal? Like what time?
So we went, I'll bring the slide back up. We went over this during the earlier part of the workshop. So a rebuttal is self-allocated, and it happens during the substantive speeches. So
Wait, so when?
during the whole debate, so every speaker except the first get a chance to will get a chance to rebut arguments made by the opposing team. And the way that will work is that when it's your turn to deliver your argument, so when it's your 4 minutes to speak, you decide how much of that 4 minutes you're going to dedicate to rebutting arguments of your opposing team. A good strategy for that is to later on in the speak, so the speakers want to be dedicating a little bit more time. Oh goodness.
I could not hear properly. I'm not hearing it properly.
And I'll type it out.
So like I just need to know when specifically when. Like is it random or is it time based or anything?
I'll type So yeah, so first, a good question, Ken. So first opposition speaker can rebut, but first proposition speaker cannot. And the reason for that is because the first proposition speaker is the first person to speak during the debate. So no, like there's no one before them speaking to be able to rebut to. Minwet,
So like, can the first speaker of the affirmative team like rebut? Like, they will guess what the opposition is gonna say. Like, they're gonna guess and they're gonna rebut
So-
that. I don't know.
they can try to preemptively strike. Good question. So they can try to preemptively strike. Why do you have a crying emoji on your screen, Yubi? What are you sad about? But Moon, sorry, to answer your question, so you can try to preemptively strike and say something like, our opponents may try to offer these arguments, but here is some evidence or a counter argument to, or here's an argument to refute that, but you can't properly rebut by definition as the first proposition speaker because there's nobody speaking before you to be able to rebut against, but you can try to preemptively strike. Okay, Yubi.
I'm really not clear about.
What are you not clear about?
I'm not clear about this slide.
About this slide. So we have gone through a lot of information today. So when you go into the breakout rooms with the student helpers, ask them the questions and they'll be able to clarify it for you. But we do have to move on now to finish the last of the material. All right, so let's quickly discuss the role of moderators. So the moderator's main job is to oversee the smooth running of the debate. So they will do that by, oh goodness, my apologies. They will do that by guiding the participants through the debate. So that includes the actual debaters, the adjudicators, and the audience, so that everybody knows what's going on, they know what to expect, and they know to get ready if they're speaking soon. They need to uphold the rules of procedure. So they need to make sure that everybody is following the rules. They make sure that the judges are marking fairly, that the debaters are following the rules, and again, generally that the debate is, they just generally make sure that the debate is running smoothly. It's their job to give the introduction speech. So we talked about that at the beginning. And they also time keep for the speakers. So as we mentioned, each debater has a set amount of time to speak, a set amount of time to prepare. And the moderator keeps a stopwatch to make sure that everybody sticks to those time limits. Victoria, stop it. Okay. Finally, we move on to the role. Sorry. Finally, we move on to the role of adjudicators. And the adjudicator's job is to track the course of the debate and weigh each team's arguments. So during a debate, we might have mentioned that each speaker has a different job to perform for their team. So the judges make sure, well, the judges keep track of the debate, so they're able to tell if the speakers are fulfilling their team role, essentially. They decide the speaker scores, so they have a set criteria that they judge each speaker on, and that will determine the score that they get. And they also decide the verdict and the best speaker. So they decide which team wins the debate and which speaker was the best overall. And finally, they give oral adjudication and feedback. So once they've made their decision, they come back in, they'll announce it, they'll let everybody know who won the debate, and they will also give the speakers some general feedback about how they performed during the debate. Yes, Lincoln, if you need to, you may. Okay, so that is the end of our slideshow. So let me turn off my screen sharing. I'll come back here. Summer, what's your question?
Can I ask what does the student helper do? Because it's my first lesson here, so I'm not sure what they do.
Welcome, yes. So the student helpers, because you are more experienced debaters than the other students that are attending, when we go to the breakout rooms, it's just going to be your job to answer any questions that the newer debaters may have, and just share your experience debating with the students. So just kind of let them know what they can expect, kind of try and help them take away any nerves they may have, and yeah, just help them out. Mood.
So like after we share our experience and like answering questions, do we have a debate?
So we won't be having a debate today because most of the students in this call, they're very brand new to debating. So they won't actually, they don't know how to debate yet, but I do believe we're going to be providing some opportunities for practice debates in the coming weeks. So I'll ask you guys to be patient with that one, but we will get around to having some debates soon.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Ken.
Teacher, so wait, let me think about my question. Okay, so you just let me unmute, but I won't make any noise because I still have a question.
No worries. Okay, so Tom, what's your question?
So before the next speaker, like before they speak, they would say how much time they would set to tell their point and rebuttal, and then they tell their speech in their predicted time, and talk about the rebuttals in the remaining time, right? Is that how it
Correct,
works?
yes.
Means
So each speaker will have 4 minutes in total during the substantive part of the debate. So in that time, it's each debater's decision how much time they spend on rebuttals and how much time they spend delivering their arguments.
Teacher, can the first proposition speaker rebut, say, the second opposition speaker if the third proposition can't rebut him?
No. So one of the rules of the debate is that the structure of the speakers remain the same. However, if the first proposition speaker can think of some rebuttals to a later speaker's argument, then they can write them down and they can pass them on to the speaker whose job it is to rebut that speaker, but they can't actually verbally deliver those rebuttals themselves. Summer.
Is it okay if you can send me the presentation that you just presented?
Yes, so I've got a PDF version of this. Yeah,
You
I've
send
got
me
a
the
PDF
link version
of
because
these
I feel more
slides.
comfortable with. I prefer the link more than the PDF. I feel more comfortable with that.
With the what, sorry?
The link, because I saw you did it in Canvas, so you could share it with me.
So we don't actually offer the Canva link to it because the settings are that other people can edit it. So we just hand out the PDF version of it, so you've got it as a reference to read.
Okay, so can you send me it?
Yes, we will arrange that for a few minutes time. Moon.
Oh shoot, I forgot to put my hand down.
John. Marks, yes, you can if you need to. John, do you have a question?
I am the first in here.
Pardon?
I kind of like, this is my first time in here. So so my question is kind of like, when do we have an actual debate?
So so we've got 6 weeks worth of workshops and training. So they started last week with session 1. They'll go on for another 4 weeks. And the purpose of this is to basically try and give as good an education on debate as possible for anyone that's never learnt before. So we have a little bit more information to cover before you'll be ready to have a debate, but you should be within the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. T Mai.
Oh, okay. I also new here, but I do have a question. So first thing first is the common orders. So we have the first speaker, second speaker, and the third speaker. But well, so in examples, if there is not ordinary number 4, set for groups of 3, so we may have groups of 4 or 5. So it doesn't mean that there's a adding on furthermore within the order, which means
No,
if there's
so
a fourth speaker, what is it that what do they do? And if there's a fifth speaker, so what do they do? Or does it cause more separations?
during a debate, there will only
Yes.
ever be 3 speakers from any team competing at once.
Oh, okay.
And I'll open a whiteboard to demonstrate it visually.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So, okay, so don't mind my very crude drawing. Hello, Tim. Long time no see. So during a debate, only 3 members of each team may compete at any one time. And if there's members 4 and 5 of a team, they're what we call reserves. So, excuse me, if your team makes it through to the next round, down here, So we see here that round one, we've got team members 1, 2, and 3 are active. Team members 4 and 5 are the reserves. So they're not allowed to participate in this debate. But if the team wins and they make it through to the next round, the team may wish to swap the lineup. So they may take member 2 and member 3 out of the team and replace them with member 4 and member 5. And now they've got a new 3-person team who will compete in that debate, and team members 2 and 3 will be the reserve. So in this debate, they won't be allowed to participate. Moon.
So for the round 1 or round 2, why do we have like different speakers speaking for the team? Like, for example, the first round is going to be 1, 2, 3, and the second one is going to be 1, 4, 5.
So that was only to indicate how many people were on each team. The 3 active speakers will still be the first speaker, second speaker, and third speaker. But that was just to show that the 2 reserves from the first round were swapped into the team, and 2 of the active speakers in the first round were swapped out of the team. Do you have another question? Do you have another question?
So I just gonna ask why do we do that instead of just keeping one? Like, I know the speakers are going to be the same, but like they're going to be different speakers, but in the same pattern, I suppose.
So one reason for that is that it's good to have people, it's good to have reserves to help you out at moments like, the reply speech preparation. So while you're preparing your reply speeches, those reserves are allowed to communicate with their teammates to offer them any information that they feel could make their reply speech stronger. Plus, if heaven forbid there's an unavoidable reason for one of the team speakers can't make it that day for the competition, and maybe they have a doctor's appointment or a family thing they have to go to, then yeah, if there's not 3 speakers on a team, that team can't compete. So yeah, having those reserves there is kind of also a bit of extra security, like, oh, team member 4 can't make it, so team member 3 can't make it, team member 4 can step in their place. So there are multiple reasons why it's a good idea to have these reserves. And Ken, why am I your background? Janet, you have a question?
Well, I would like to ask you, when we did the debate, that if a person doesn't know how to argue the other person, what will we do in that time?
So during these workshops, we do have sessions planned out to answer questions like that. So next week we're going, this is just going off of memory, but next week we're going to be talking about what each speaker is supposed to do for their team. The following week, I believe, is how to construct good, strong arguments using a certain type of writing structure. The week after that, I believe, is how to write reply speeches and how to take notes to form good rebuttals. And then I think the last week is how to deliver your speech as well. So lots of like public speaking advice. So we've got answers for all of these questions coming in the next few weeks. Julie, hello.
I have a question. So like we have the same question about why we should change, and I have another question. Why is the person on the proposition 1 don't change, but 2 and 3 would change into 4 and 5.
So the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that was just to show a team with 5 members. So during a debate, there's only 3 members of any team allowed to compete. The other 2 members are reserves. But if your team makes it through to the next round, you're allowed to put some of those reserves onto your team, but you have to make sure that there's only ever 3 members of your team competing at once. So if you put one on, you have to take another one off. So that's all that was explaining.
Okay, so that's why we can change any, not just 2 and 3, right?
Correct. Yeah. So you could have team members 3, 4, and 5 competing, and team members 1 and 2 are the reserves for the next round. Yeah, you can have anyone on the team or anyone as a reserve out of those 5 members. You just have to make sure that there's only 3 people on that are active debaters at any time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Victoria, why are you sending me pictures of a turtle burger? Let's have a look here. Ken. Whoop, Ken's gone. Okay, Yubi.
Well, at the start to the end of the debate, I mean, if we can't not have 4.
No, there's only 3 members of a team allowed at any one time.
Oh. Okay.
Yep, only 3 members.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moon. I didn't recognize you there, not waving like a maniac. I tease. What's your question?
So like for the pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's like we could sometimes change, right? Like,
Yeah, so the roles in a team are always defined. You've got your first speaker, your second speaker, and your third speaker. But any of those roles can be filled by any 5 of the team members.
oh,
So yeah, so that's what the main point of that diagram was. Oh goodness, I've got too many people sending me turtle burgers now. But yeah, so any member of the team can be first speaker, second speaker, or third speaker.
nice.
But yeah, just as long as there's 3 speakers on and 2 reserves if it's a team of 5.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know how to respond to that. You're welcome. Oh goodness. Summer.
So all we do as a student helper is we answer the questions that the debaters are asking us, and we just give our personal experiences, and that's all.
Yes. So with these breakout rooms, which we'll get to in a few minutes, I've got lots of people sending me, sorry, hang on 2 seconds, Summer. Victoria, I've got lots of people sending me turtle burgers, and I've got lots of crazy kids that are making me laugh. It's a good time. So Summer, back to your question. Yeah, so the student helpers will be staying in the breakout rooms they're assigned. The students are able to bounce around different rooms, speak to all the different student helpers, try and get a big variety of experiences to listen to. So you'll probably be speaking to quite a few different students.
Can I also ask for the presentation I've been asking for a while ago because I kind of need it?
Yes. All right, I will. So I'll send that to Ms. Duke, and then just contact Ms. Duke to get a copy of it. The slides for session 2.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, speak to Ms. Duke. She's already got a copy of them for you.
I sent already in the yellow book.
Check the Zalo group. They'll be in there. Okay. Sherry.
Like, so I want to ask that if like a team went around and the next section is like switch the role, or you have to keep the same.
Sorry, could you ask that again, Sherry?
Usually a debate there's different rounds, so like can we like like can we switch the speaker's role between rounds?
That is a good question. Let me, I'll need to find that one out for you. So ask me about that later and I will find an answer, a proper answer for you. So I don't want to make anything up. Oh my gosh. You kids and your crazy memes. Let's see who's next. Tom.
I forgot my question, so I'm just gonna lower my hand.
Okay. Ken.
Teacher, why can't we debate? Why can't we discuss both sides of an issue in a debate?
So, good question. So, the purpose, so one of the purposes of debate is to sometimes discover different viewpoints. So, you want to form a good a case as possible to be able to offer information for one side of the debate, and then the other team will give the opinion and make the case for the other side of the debate. So between the two teams, you've got two sides of an issue. But yeah, so but sometimes you will find yourself on the side of a debate that you don't personally agree with. But you'll still be forced to defend that side of the case anyway. So it's about learning. 4 o'clock it finishes, so like half an hour. So yeah, the goodness, kids, stop spamming the chat, please. But yeah, so it's more about making a case for the side that you're given. And if you don't personally agree with it, you might learn something you didn't know and it could change your opinion. But the general debate format is one team arguing for, one team arguing against. Oh goodness. Moon.
Okay.
Moon.
Yes, I'm here. So the student helpers are going to stay in the breakout and the students are just gonna randomly join the breakout rooms.
Correct,
so they can learn
yes.
tips.
Yeah, so
Oh,
yeah,
no.
so the student
Oh, no.
helpers will stay in their assigned breakout rooms.
Oh no.
And okay, so give me 2 moments, guys. Let's Okay, so we're just getting the breakout room sorted out now. To answer Smart Cookie Lily's question, you will each get you'll all get your topics 1 week before the debate takes place. So we won't be releasing any motions now, because like we haven't even closed registration for the tournament yet.
So Teacher Michael, how many room you want to break?
5 rooms, please.
Okay, so 5 room, that what name you want? You want first speaker, yeah, like in the morning, yeah?
Yeah, so however you did the breakout rooms this morning. So I think it's first
Okay,
speaker,
so first speaker,
second
second speaker,
third
and reply speaker.
reply.
Make
So
4,
4
I think
rooms.
make 4, yeah.
4 rooms.
First speaker and then reply speaker.
Yeah. Okay. So for my student helpers, can I get you guys to please add to your name the role on your debate team that you're most familiar with, please? So all of my student helpers, if you most frequently debate as the first speaker of your team, can you just add next to the SH, can you just put the number 1? If you are normally the second speaker on your team, can you add a number 2 to your SH, please? And if you are normally the third speaker of your team when you debate, can you put a number 3?
So they can choose to go to the room that I have open, yeah? So I have
Yes.
open 4 rooms now, yeah. Okay.
Flynn, hello. So students that are not student helpers, you'll just be randomly assigned a room to join. So so that you can talk to so that you can talk to the student helpers. Moon, yes.
So I usually be the third speaker. So now I'm gonna join a group that is a third speaker, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna join. Thank you and bye-bye.
Toodaloo. Yes, cold
Adios.
cat.
Adios.
Adios, bromigos.
I don't know what room I'm gonna join in.
So if you're not a student helper and you're a student, you get to bounce around between the rooms so that you can speak to experienced debaters about all of the different roles in a debate.
But when I mute my mic, it will I don't know. I'm not really clear what you're saying, and I don't know. I mean, bounce around, and I don't know.
So go from breakout room to breakout room and talk to all of the student helpers in all of the breakout rooms so that
But
you
I don't
can,
know what breakout rooms yet.
you'll be assigned one at first, and then you can jump from room to room. So just wait to be put into a room first, and then you can move from room to room to talk to all of the different student helpers.
Okay.
Bill. I see you, Willow. Don't worry, you're next. Willow's next.
Teacher, I have a
Bill,
question.
hello. Yes. You got muted. What happened?
Okay. My question is, does you set up that the oldest will be the first speaker, or you set up or whatever you set up?
So what for the debate teams? So just for today, you'll be assigned a breakout room to go and speak to some experienced debaters. And then once you're in there, talk to them, then move on to another room, speak to the helpers in there, and then just keep moving from room to room, and you'll learn about a lot about what all of the different speakers in the debate do. So that's the point of this breakout room today.
No,
So yeah,
my question is that, like, when in debates, you said that the oldest while the first speaker, someone will next, and then someone
no. So you don't have to decide your speaker roles by age. You decide your speaker roles by understanding what each speaker is supposed to do, and then working out which role you would be best at, and that's the best way to decide your teams. So yeah, definitely don't just decide your teams based on age.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, my goodness. Willow.
So
Willow. Willow. Yes, Willow.
Basically
what's up,
what-
Willow?
So basically what we're going to do in the breakout rooms is just wait for people to ask us questions.
Correct, yes. So so answer any questions they've got, share your experience with them. So tell them some stories about past debates you've taken part in, and also just explain whichever role you end up in that breakout room. Just explain a little bit about what you have to do as that speaker on the team. Yes, John.
Well, I want to ask a question. What is the breakout room for?
So the breakout rooms are for our student helpers to speak to the rest of the students about their debating experience, to teach you guys a little bit about what the roles are for each speaker, just to give you a continued education in debate, and to hear it from other kids that have done it as well, because we found that kind of makes approaching topics like debate a little bit less scary. If you're talking to other kids that have done it themselves, it's easier to approach.
You make me almost die.
No, No, you're fine.
You might be making this for hours.
You'll get nice and fit and strong from all that exercise.
I call you 10 times.
Oh, bless. Okay, I'm a little bit scared for this, but Victoria, what's up?
Yes. Okay. I also have a question about it. So it's the time that you are the one that put us in a room, or we choose our own room.
So it depends which speaking role are you most experienced at in a debate? Are you normally first speaker, second speaker, or third speaker?
So all the time, I just thought that you are the one that put us in the room.
Well,
So my mom just need to
I
wait
can
for
I can
my
I
turn.
can put you in a room, although let me have a look here.
Con hỏi thầy tới lượt con rồi.
It looks like you've been assigned to the reply speaker room, so you should be getting sent there soon. Oh, hang on. I will be back in a little bit, guys. I am here, Cold Cat. Yes.
I don't really know when and how will the and how will the student helper get me in the room. because I'm very curious and I don't know when.
Well, if that's the case, I will assign students to rooms so you can go and speak to some debaters about their experiences and learn a bit more. So I'm just going to assign you guys now. Kitty.
Why would you invite me to the first speaker? I am the first student here, you know.
Yes. Well, all right then. Which speaking role would you like to learn about?
I don't know. I'm the first speaker.
Oh, well, if you're the first speaker, you should go to the first speaker breakout room
No.
then.
I say that I am the first person here. Me.
Kitty. Well, which debating role would you be interested to learn about?
I don't know.
Well, then go and learn about being the first speaker then. Go into that breakout room and learn about that. And yeah, ask them questions and find out about what they do.
Oh, okay. And wee.
Kitty.
What's your kitty? Name is Cream.
She's a very cute little kitty.
I say she is Cream.
His name's Cream.
Her.
Creamer.
No, just Cream.
Just
Does
Cream.
he
Very,
like-
very cute little cat. Meow.
Do you have any pets?
Not where I live, but I used to have a pet dog.
Where do you live now?
I live at Miss Duck's house.
Which country?
Australia. I live in Melbourne.
Australia?
Yeah.
What's the hat you're wearing?
It's a beanie. It's a little bit cold over here, so it just keeps my head warm. It's a nice woolly cap.
Oh. And why is your beard so long?
Because I am a wrestler and I need this for my wrestling character. So unfortunately, until my character shaves his beard, I'm stuck with this. It's a pain in the bum.
Why can't you just cut it?
Because my character has a long beard. That is honestly the only reason I've got this thing.
So you can't cut it?
Not yet, not for a little while.
Whoa. Is it snow out there?
It's not snowing, but it's quite cold.
Whoa. So in your country, it is winter?
We're just getting towards the end of winter now.
I'm summer. I am summer,
Oh, lucky.
but no lucky. I hate swimming. So my mom
Oh.
say, go swimming, yeah. But I hate swimming. But I like the environment
Swimming
more.
is fun. I love being in water. I'm just going through the chat now and saving all of these funny turtle burger pictures people have been sending me.
I just send you a hamburger. 3 delicious hamburgers.
But that's a terrifying picture.
What terrifying picture? What terrifying picture?
Oh. As soon as I've saved these, I've got to go check out a few of the breakout rooms.
Do you think that we are monkeys? Crazy little monkeys?
Not all of you, but some of you.
Kind of like, and even this cat.
No,
here.
like some of them were like, yes, some of them were
What even?
some of them were like sitting there waving like that on camera, so I had to wave back to them.
Wave, hello. But as they're waving kind of like, wee, wee. Hey, Mr. Michael, can you see me? I'm
Yeah.
making a signal. Wee.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's why I responded to some people.
I mean, some.
Okay, I gotta check a few of these breakout rooms. So I've got some kids in there asking for help.
Help me, help me. Wee. Ooh. Oh, Teacher Michael's house then. Ouch. Wee. Ouch. Wee. Wee. Ouch. Ouch. Wee. Wee. Ouch. Who is Tiger?
Okay, so that does bring us to the end of our session today. I know the breakout rooms are still a bit of a mess, but we're working it out and hopefully it's getting better each time. So thank you very much to our student helpers. Yes, I see you. I see you. So yeah, where hopefully as the weeks go on, the breakout room sessions will get neater and neater. Thank you, a big thank you very much to all of our student helpers for sharing their experiences and their knowledge and for teaching the rest of the students. Thank you to those of you that sent me turtle burger pictures. And we'll see you all next Sunday for session 3, which will be the roles and strategies of all of the speakers on a debating team. So if you need a